use it as temporary cover to retreat into. It provides a lot of versatility and utility in a lot of the game modes, but more specifically in splat zones. Since a lot of the focus is going to be at the center of the map, there's a lot of opportunities actually to use the underground route to really sneak up behind enemies a lot, and I think that's always such a fun thing to see.
Yeah, and very familiar to all zone maps, there's going to be that choke point that the defending team, once they're able to get control of the zone, you move into that more aggressive position to create that lockout situation. For here, it's no different with that elbow area, just constantly applying that pressure. The interesting thing, of course, like you mentioned, is it's not quite a choke point as other maps where typically that is the only viable route to go to. There is that left flank to really go under, maybe cause some distractions if you are that Slayer weapon that you have more freedoms with, but there is of course that wrinkle in the sense of like how many players do you want to draw attention, how many people do you want to pull over there, and how many resources are you willing to invest? So that's the major question, and usually the major dilemma facing teams when they're going into zones, and I'm sure it's going to be no different here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point of the bracket series, teams have gotten a good handle about how they're feeling throughout the night, and it's always a fun thing to see just how these teams play at this point and moving forward, because it's not necessarily high stakes, because I'm sure everyone wants to win swim or SOS, but it's not necessarily like a big title, but still it's very I just love watching tournaments as a whole, and it's just I can never get enough of it. And right now, I'm just eagerly waiting to see exactly how these two teams are going to be playing out. I'm more curious as well about how exactly they want to try and play out this map mode to beginning off with in terms of weapons.
I mean, hey, for some that have already been here several times, it may not be much, but I'm at least taking a great look at the rest of Great White so far, and some other teams that were eliminated, such as Flues, such as Aim Stars. Those are the 18th seeds and the 35 seeds respectively. So I would be pretty proud at even making this bracket to begin with if I was part of any of those teams. Typically, when I see these SOSs, when I commentate these SOSs, and I'm sure our viewers know as well, when you take a look at bracket, you typically see the same names on teams, you see the same numbers, these low numbers up here, but it's always interesting to see that 35th seed, that 18th seed kind of sneak by. But here we go, we've taken a look at some weapons, and I spot with my pretty eyes a ballpoint coming out from Tamacross.
The ballpoint is not really a weapon you hardly ever see in any capacity, really outshone by a lot of different backlines in one way, shape, or form, whether it be range or utility or just special. But it does have, I guess, its niche use cases with its dual firing speed and firing pattern. So I guess there's going to be some of the Tamacross with how they play this ballpoint out here on this map mode, but it is a bit of a neutral stalemate before one getting the Booyah Bomb to flip the zone and get the first points on their side at the very least.
Yeah, Luck coming out with this Rapid as well, a very interesting comp coming out from High, just given the nature of that poking ability, that combination you can really have with the pen and forcing one back, and that's exactly what High is doing. High is forcing one back into this elbow position. There comes the Booyah Bomb, however, from that Stamper. They are quickly taken out by 49er, and 49er being that aggressive weapon, trying to move forward. They were taken down in that skirmish, so now it is just turf war in mid as both sides just try to fight for their specials, trying to get any edge over each other, and it does look like one is gaining that momentum to do so.
Yeah, one getting a hold of the zone now, slowly pushing High back bit by bit. Good pack pick here from Zen means that High is down one player, one being able to, are looking to charge in there. Unfortunately, it's shut down by the pencil there, and it's still a bit of a neutral stalemate from between these two teams, fighting tooth and nail against one and over the other, trying to get the advantage that they desperately want to secure a solid holding on their proper areas. But no, one manages to close the gap a little bit, but High does not let it happen as they take control of the zone once again and are still running away with those penalty points.
Radless does have a crap to utilize for High's retake, but in no position to do so as they do lose 2 players on that skirmish. One now in a great position to take this lead back with their biggest position lead yet for this game, now being able to knock at that doorstep of that so important elbow position. Here comes the Booyah Bomb yet again coming out from the Stamper, and there we go for 1. Moving forward with it, Venet's trying to get anything going, but with all 4 members of High looking right at them, they go down pretty quickly, but their sacrifice won't go into vain, as at the very least it's buying time for one to just hold on to that zone. But if 49er goes in with that Zipcaster, which you saw they do there, they just create so much space for High to operate back into business.
Yeah, I think that Zipcast was crucial there to allow High to take control of the zone, but I guess it did not last that long, as one was able to just focus on the other members of High, get them out so they can take control of the zone yet again, give a small amount of penalty points to High, and put themselves in a position here to potentially actually set up for their first lockout attempt here with the Booyah Bomb on standby, with the pencil sitting on top of this ledge here. It's a bit of a difficult situation to break through if you don't have the proper specials. There is a crab take online with the Zipcaster, but can those specials be used to properly break through? It's a hard thing to say right now, but we do see one go down from 1. High moving up forward to try and contest the zone, but they're still in contention though. It's just utter back and forth between these 2 teams.
Yes, and time is running out for High to get into the zone. You saw the crab already forced out pretty early for the side of High, and now 1 have the special economy to potentially bring this one back. They're so close to their specials, but they not even need to get these specials back. You do have the Stamper going down pretty early, so numbers advantage will go into the favor of High, but unable to paint the zone in time as 1 hold on to that control. Once they were able to get at that elbow position, they never looked back, constantly utilizing those Booyah Bombs from the Stamp to move forward, and that's exactly why they were able to take that one, just convincingly knocking back High every time they try to retake.
Yeah, I think one thing I think I noticed from this game as well is the fact that 1 really has a decent understanding on the weapon ranges, and I saw a lot of times members from High going in for a fight only for 1 to back up just out of their range and just quickly punish them, and it was such an interesting thing to see, just especially with the Octopus as well at the end there. There was a attempt by 49er to dive the pencil to take out a crucial pinning power from their side, so High could potentially secure the zone to flip it back in their favor at the end. But the pencil moved back just out of out of 49ers range and just punished it immediately, and I think that's what caused them to secure that victory there for 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say as well, pretty much. Just limiting 49er was the key for 1 to take that one, because you have that aggressive weapon that can get in your face, really limit the other weapons. But, I mean, they just left 49er in the dust and just constantly kept them out of those situations where they would do best on that Octobrush. And again, time and time again, we saw those specials just always hitting for 1 on those elbow positions. The Booyah Bomb, they really created so much space and funneled High to forcefully move forward in a predictable manner, which allowed 1 to make them easy pickings. And here we go again in game 2, pretty much same comps across the board. Going into a game 2, map 2 of this set, we are looking at Clamblitz Scourge Gorge.
Yeah, Scorch Gorge Clams is a very interesting one. A lot of your pressure and a lot of your attacking power revolves around how well you can take control of each ramp leading up to the Clam basket. So it's going to be just interesting to see how these two teams take this approach. Cross opening up with a huge inkjet, by the way, to get that to shut down 49 immediately, allowing 1 to very quickly move in with the Power Clam and get the first points on the board within the first 30 seconds of this game.
Yes, and a quick push, but not a fruitful one in the sense that you are safe from being counterattacked, not under that 60-point safe threshold yet, as, yes, in basically 45 seconds in, they were able to get that one. 49er and the rest of High are already in a great position to poke up this elbow area. Zipcaster and Cooler popped right on cue. Could we see this distraction being made, as Brush typically favors to do, just slowly but surely knocking at the doorstep, waiting for that opportunity to really pop, but 1 already at that response area, already in that elbow area. 3 go down to a very nice flank. I believe that was the Stamper on one side to completely change the script of the game, and here we are again with 1 pushing at High's basket.
Yeah, High knocking on the doors of one, getting ready to pounce, only for them to be blindsided by the Stamper, and immediately converting off that one was very quick to move up forward, get those clams into the basket, and now extending their lead even further. What was once just a solid, okay opener push is now turned into a very devastating second counter push, or second strike push here, as one just keeps getting this momentum going. They do lose one player, and High now moving in to try and clear the render of players from one. Unfortunately, they do go down there, and High is able to secure their side of the map once again as things return back to mid.
At this level of play, that's really the winning formula for Clam Blitz. Really just getting a mechanical play, finding that opening, finding a 1-2 pick on that elbow, and then the rest of your team just immediately behind you. That's exactly what one did to be able to be in the situation where you're up very heavily, and still with half the game to go. It's not over quite yet, but now it is going to be a tougher hill to climb if you're on the side of High, especially since after that first bounce back, after that first defense, they have really struggled to move towards one side of the map. I mean, you see them here. One is just keeping them in this position. Nice shot coming out from that Jet to take out the pen, and you see this is the formula, just keeping them away from the basket as far as possible, as one has pretty much dominated this mid area.
Yeah, I mean, with that huge second push there, it really once again boils down to tempo. One has the advantage here. They don't necessarily need to be overly aggressive now to try and extend their lead even further. High hasn't been able to get close to the power clam, to the clam basket yet this game, so they can just turtle up a bit and play it slow, play it steady, and punish High as they overextend bit by bit. But it seems that High is starting to become aware of that, and now playing the right cards to break that, so that hold one has, and now being able to being the ones to get ready for this incoming push here against one to get the first points on their side. 2 down. This could be the start of something big here.
Yes, and with Luck getting those final few clams, they just need to create the space for the rest of their team to move in. But here comes the Booyah Bomb from the flank, from that elbow area, splitting up the members of High and causing this push to lose its momentum with 2 players down. Now a third one falling to that Whale, one with a really nice defense to recover just because of how you had the players positioned. You weren't able to take out all the players in time. Another great jetpack shot onto the pen causes further issues for High, as Tamacross has been doing really nice on that jetpack. That ball points can prove to be very dangerous, just constantly applying that artillery position. And with a minute left, this is exactly where you want to have that ball point on mid, in that control of that area, and forcing High to push straight into it.
Ooh, but out of nowhere, 49er does get a pick against one. High being able to move quickly off that to try and see if they can get the momentum going off that and continue on forward. They do get another pick off that, but it's utter mayhem as there's just constant left and right picks here, and that push for High has been shut down by one. 30 seconds remaining. This is not a good look for High. If they have a power clamp, at the very least, they can try and go for an overtime scenario here, but they still need to push through this utter bastion of defense that one has set up here in mid. There's so much yellow, and High slowly losing ground. It's going to be a difficult thing to do.
Yes, with 15 seconds left, it's going to be a do or die situation. You still have the pity clam to utilize the move in, but you don't have any specials, and now your main support shooter is down. 49er does find a position to take out that Booyah Bomb Stamper. This has been the major issue for High to moving forward, but can they find any more? Yes, they find one at the Tamacross, but quickly taken out themselves. Time running out for High to make this one competitive. You see the map, the mid, it's so yellow, so much in control of one that you find it really difficult to imagine that High can somehow move into this, but they will try and they will fall. A resounding wipeout it will be for one to secure game 2, knocking at the door of a sweep here in semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, one recognizing the game state, knew that after that second push of theirs, knew that they just had to let High come to them, punish their mistakes, keep things at mid at the very least, and not let things get too far past that, and they were able to just cruise their way to victories. It was such an astounding thing to see. It would, what's it called? One being just playing a very slow and steady pace after a very huge opener by them. Well, a very quick opener into a very huge second push by them. It shows that they have the discipline to be able to switch on and off from being very offensive to being very defensive.
And you constantly saw Tamacross, or Storm rather, really on that ball point for one, making the opportunities for one known, constantly applying that jetpack pressure onto the pencil of High. I believe it was Bubbles that is running that pencil, just making it really difficult to keep up that cooler economy. Having to be wary of that jetpack is so key, forcing these players to go without those specials. And not only that, initiating the rest of one to move in without having to worry about that pencil is just absolutely huge. Not to mention the right side flank that you had, getting 2 players on the right side to continue the pressure for one and constantly keep the foot onto the pedal and constantly keep up the momentum was absolutely huge for how one was able to play to their own pace. Just get that early lead and control mid the rest of the way. That was the winning formula, and it's been a very common winning formula for a lot of teams. But now on Barnacle and Dime zones, this needs to be the bounce back for High if they want to stay alive.
Yeah, they really need to try and figure out what exactly they've been missing so far these past 2 games to really crack the code. And from what we see so far anyways, it doesn't seem that they think their weapon is the weak part of it seems that they think that it might have to do something with how they play or how they coordinate. And that's probably going to be something that might be changing up here going into game number 3, as now we see a breakaway from both these 2 teams and very fast Inkjet out the game. I might want to add, as Tom Across trying to find someone, gets shut down immediately, and it's still a relatively neutral state, but one running win with these points.
You typically would imagine as well Pencil to be fairly strong on this map, being able to kind of outrange that ball point, if you will. But here comes 49er to maybe create that opportunity. Creating that opportunity, they will, forcing a 2-player, now 3-player down situation. Now High control the playing board. They have the keys to victory, and now they just got to hold on to it. But of course, we've seen time and time again, one has been able to move in with their own specials. But this could be the one that they hold firm, as 2 players go down yet again for one, and that Booyah Bomb being forced out won't be able to be used on a further retake, as High survived that one.
Yeah, now High looking for a lockout scenario here, shutting down the flank from the gal from one, which is very crucial, might want to say, as High keeps these points going and going. Now with only 30 points remaining on their side, we see a huge Inkjet shutdown against the Crab Tank, but is it going to be enough at the end of the day? It's hard to tell. High is down 2 players now, but one hasn't been able to move in quickly. But with just a matter of moments, they were able to push back against High, take control of the zone, and recontest mid at the very least. But it's still madness, as even though they do get the zone flip, High was quick to retake it and take control of mid yet again.
FD penalty point being inflicted onto High, but nonetheless, they have been great at holding out one, kind of giving back some revenge of what one did to them on that Clan Blitz match. Now, keeping total control of this mid area, but here comes the Booyah Bomb, one's initiation special to really move in, and here's the Jet as well, getting a 1-for-1 trade. Really nicely done, though, from Bubbles to shut that one down this time, getting some of that trauma back onto Gamma. But now, with these picks going into the favor of High still, it is leaving Zen in a tough spot, just trying to fight on this right side, trying to get any ground back, and it does look like eventually keep banging your head against the brick wall and it will break. One has broken through, and now with half the match to be played, it's still anybody's game, but High accept themselves out really nicely.
Yeah, it was their turn to try and attempt a lockout scenario there, but it didn't end up boding too well for them, as High was able to very quickly break through at least some of the chain and really open one up, as they are now moving in quickly to try and claim the remainder of High. We see 49er going on the deep end with tactical to see if they can cause enough distraction for the remainder of their team to follow it up here. Now Zipcaster online, they could potentially look for the dive on the pencil, but no. One actually was able to get behind 49er and clean up the remainder members of High and moving it forward. And now the lead has been swapped. There's only 17 ticks remaining on this phone. Zipcaster is used to try and contest the zone at the very least, cause some distractions so High can contest the zone here. But is it enough at the end of the day? I don't think so. The Booyah Bomb is to secure the deal, and one takes a clean 3-0.
And that was just utter complete flipping of the scripts again from what we saw at the beginning. High looked like they were the ones doing the flipping of the scripts. They seemed to be the ones in strong control for a majority of that match, and then all it took was one opportunity for one to go in, and they never looked back. They held that zone for the rest of the